Hello everyone, we're going to be doing things slightly differently today. We're going to be seeing a series of videos that have been put together by our colleagues at the Kelso cluster, and they're going to be sharing how they've approached teaching and learning using the iPads and different approaches to delivering, reviewing, and the impact it's had on their pupils. We're going to start off first of all with Kerry Scott from Broomlands Primary School in the Kelso community, and she's going to talk through how she's been using iMovie.
Hi, I'm Kerry Scott and I teach P7 at Broomlands, and I'm going to talk you through what kind of turned into a bit of an impromptu iMovie lesson for the kids. I think what made it most effective is that it wasn't contrived in any way. It came sort of naturally from some of the learning that we were doing in the classroom. As part of our science learning in the beginning, we were looking at living things and plants, and we were germinating broad beans as part of that. So once they had learned about their conditions and that kind of thing, they put them on the windowsill to map their progress. So in order to do that, we could have drawn pictures or whatever, but we decided to take a photo each day to see how they were growing. And once we had a stock of photos over the course of 2 weeks, I think we had a break in the middle there, maybe the October break, we ended up with a really nice time lapse of how these broad beans had germinated and then grown. So I'm going to talk you through what we did and explain to you how I think it helped their learning as we did it. So the first thing I did was ask their children to annotate their photos as soon as they had taken them. So that was just a case of looking at the photo, pressing the edit button, using the 3 dots to go to markup, and then they could either write on it with their finger. Some of them added text. They chose whichever way they wanted to do it, but that was the first step in making sure that we had a clear record of when each picture was taken. So when we had done that, we ended up with a bank of photos that kind of covered the time span. Obviously you can see we missed weekends, and that demonstrated the growth of these broad beans. Obviously we potted them once they got big enough. So once the children had their bank of photos, I started to teach them about the features of iMovie. So we obviously opened the app and asked them to create a movie and got them to select the pictures that they wanted. We quickly learned that if you select them in the order that you want them, they go into your movie much more easily. Once the children had added their pictures in the order that they want them, I explained to them that they fell into these frames in the bottom that they could then manipulate or add to. So this is when I introduced the children to the voiceover option. So using this little microphone on the left-hand side, I asked the children to record a voiceover for each little group of pictures. So as they progressed through, they talked about how the seed had sprouted a plumule and a radical, and got them to talk about using the seed's nutrients or its packed lunch to spurt this first bit of growth, which is why it obviously didn't require soil. As we moved forward and repotted the plants, I got them to articulate how the seed no longer had any food left of its own, and then we'll need to draw food from the compost that we used. And after that, we talked about its growth. So the children probably added 3 short voiceovers to different phases of the clip using that mic button. I then showed them how to change the length of the picture to suit the length of their voice recording simply by touching it and dragging it one way or the other, so that their voice clip was the same length as the bit of photo that they wanted it to go over. So to finish off our video, they've now got their images lasting the right length of time and their voiceover that demonstrates the sort of scientific language that they had learned. I encouraged them to add a title slide and play about with it in any way they wanted, really. This was their first real experience of putting something together on iMovie. So to add a photo at the beginning, I just got them to take a photo of something blank. You'll excuse my kitchen table. And I added it in at the beginning. I then highlighted it, and at the bottom I got a list of options here, and I got them to add titles. So they could choose whichever one they wanted. They just picked one and put sort of broad bean growth or something like that. maybe with their name. And that was that. Some of the children then went through and added other filters to their pictures to make them look a bit different. So again, they clicked to highlight the one that they were interested in, chose filters, and then they could go through and edit their image in any way they saw fit. So after they completed their videos, I asked the children to upload them to OneDrive, to a folder that I had shared with them, so that I could then view all of the videos on my iPad and then share it with a wider audience using the smartboard. That gave us a way to assess and critique the other videos, talk about the language that we'd used, and basically use it as a bit of formative assessment within the classroom. And it was also a great way of sharing these in a wider platform, like on our class blog page using Glow with parents, and it worked really, really well. I was really surprised at how engaged they were at using the iPad as a way to document their learning, far more engaged than they would have been had they been doing it on a bit of paper. I think we would have had some engagement with that, but a significant number of the class used their iPads really effectively and were much more engaged in showing what they'd learned than they had been without them. I've put just after this a short example of what one kind of looked like. You'll have to excuse me, it's just the one I chucked together while we were talking through it there. It's minus the children's feedback, voiceovers, but I cannot find where I originally put them because I've had to delete everything on my iPad a couple of times since we've done that. So you'll excuse the fact that it's just a bit of a chuck together, but it's a rough example of what it looked like, and hopefully this was helpful to you in some way and it might help you with something that you do in the classroom.
If you have any questions related to some of the videos you've seen today, if you go to the Schoolhouse channel, you'll see the link for this video, and you can add any of the questions for Kerry or any of the actual future presenters underneath if you just direct that, and I'll pass that on to them if they're not able to respond straight away. However, we're now going to be moving on to Max, who's going to share what he's been doing with his PE department and PE pupils at Kelso High School.
Hi, my name's Max Gordon and I'm a PE teacher at Kelso High School. I'm going to show you a brief demonstration of something that I was trialling in school to evidence learning with my S1 classes before this period of home learning started. I've used the Pages app on my iPad to create a learning log or booklet which every pupil in the class gets sent and can add to during their blocks of work throughout the year. I decided to try it out so that pupils can be creative and demonstrate their learning in a variety of ways and also select what is most suitable for them. So this is the front cover of my booklet. I've then got some information for pupils explaining what it's all about and also how to complete it. And then I've got a page for different activities that we might cover throughout the year. So we've got things like basketball, dance, fitness, etc. Now for different subjects or your own subject, you could maybe think about different topics or different projects that you might do throughout the year. Now here's an example of how a pupil could fill it out. So there's space for videos, pictures, audio, comments about strengths and weaknesses, and an evaluation of their progress. So it's really down to the pupil themselves about how they actually complete this and what they put on to the slides. So during a lesson, a pupil could take a picture or they might take a video of something that they've been working on. For example, in my classes, it could be a balance or a sequence in gymnastics, or elsewhere it might be a science experiment or a geography project or music performance, etc. And they could then add it to their booklet by pressing the plus button in this top kind of right hand side, then photo and video, and then find a video that they want to put in or a picture. And from here you can then use the blue handles at the side of the video and you can resize it and you can drag it across to wherever you like on the page. You can then press play and it should hopefully work.
Javelin with the Thomas roller about
like so. Again, you could also, a pupil might want to add an audio clip of something that they've learned throughout the lesson. It might be teaching points, it could even be the learning intention or success criteria, a fact that they've learned or something they might have achieved. So again, to add audio, you press the plus and then record audio. And then you could say something such as, I ran the 100 meters in 13.45 seconds. You can press stop and then insert. And again, there's your audio clip that they can place and drag wherever they like. Pupils can also choose to add text about what they're learning by pressing the plus again, and then the circle and square, then text, and that'll give you your text box which they can easily type into. As I've already got a couple on the slide already, I'm going to double tap here, and again they could just type in something that they want, just like normal. Or another good thing that they can use is the Dictation Tool, which is text-to-speech. So I could speak into the iPad and it'll transform what I'm saying into text. So for example, I might want to say that and there you go. It's really quick, really simple, and for some learners it's really beneficial. At the end of each block, I then get them to circle or rate how they feel they've progressed or enjoyed the activity on a scale of 1 to 5, and they can use the little circles here and they can drag them across and place them wherever they think they are at. So what I then do is that, or what I intend to do is at the end of the year, I'll get the pupils to send the booklet back to me. And I've tried this with similar types of documents through AirDrop before, but I'm kind of hoping to figure out a more efficient way of doing this. As I said before, something like this could be adapted for any subject or topic. You can design it in any way you like. So my design here is by no means the best way for every single subject. You may find a way that is much better for you. But the main positive features for me are that pupils can decide how they produce their work, whether it's through video or audio or it's written, and the accessibility tools such as the dictation are really useful for differentiation. It's also a good record of the progress they've made throughout the year for assessment purposes. You could use it for moderation within your department, or even show it to parents at parents' evenings, or send it to them in these times at home. I hope that this has been something that you might be able to take something from, or maybe I've given you some ideas that you can try out yourself.
I hope you enjoyed that quick look at the potential pages to share learning and process learning. Really appreciate what Max put together there for us. And we're now going to move over to Heather Mcmanus, who's a primary school teacher at Edenside Primary in Kelso. And she's going to be talking about an app she's been using called Jamboard, which is available on via Google. And I'll let her share a little bit more about that.
This video is going to talk you through how to get onto Jamboard. So I've typed Jamboard into Google. It usually comes up as a top link, so you can just click on it to open it. What you'll have to do the first time you use it is to set up an account. So if you haven't got a Google account already, I used my Glow password, so you have to sign in and register the first time you use it to be able to set up your own jams. So if you look in the corner, you can see the purple line that shows I'm signed in. So at the bottom right here, I can press the plus, which will allow me to open a new Jamboard. When I'm on Jamboard, there's a few different controls I can use. So at the top here, I've got Untitled Jam. If I tap, I can change the name of my Jamboard. So I'm just going to name it as example. Jamboard save automatically, so you'll be able to, when you go back to logging into Jamboard, you'll be able to click on one to edit it again. Underneath example, I've got my back arrow, which will undo anything I've done. I've got the magnifier, which will let me zoom in. I can also set my background next to it, so I can change the background to different colours. I've got squares if I want to do something mathsy. There's lines as well, so I can pick the background I want. Clear frame, when you start to add things to Jamboard, if you press clear frame, it will delete everything and take you back to your blank screen. So the background will stay, but everything else will disappear. On the left hand side of my screen, I have a toolbar. So at the top, I have a pen.
If I click on my pen, I can change the style of pen I want, and I can change the colour as well. And then with my finger or a stylus, I can just write on the board there. So underneath that I have a rubber, so that will let me rub out any lines or drawings I do. Underneath that I've got the clicker, so that will let me move around and click on things. So when I do add post-its and pictures, I can click on them and drag them. Underneath the clicker is the sticky note. So this is a post-it, so I can type into my post-it. So I might put in, for example, if it was a maths Jamboard, I might do 25, add 1. I can change the colour at the top here, so I can click on green, blue, pink. The one at the end is white, so I can pick the colour I want. When I'm happy with the colour, I can click save, and that will put my post-it onto the Jamboard. So if I press cancel, that will take me out of that. Now I have my post-it, I can drag it around. If I go into the corner, I can make it bigger. In the top left corner, I can change the direction or the angle of it. And then if I click on the 3 dots, I can edit it, I can duplicate it, or I can delete it. I've got options with it. So that was my post-it. Underneath my post-it in my toolbar, I have the picture icon. So this lets me upload pictures. So I can upload by the URL, I can go into my camera, I can search on Google, and I can add photos that way. So if I go on to Google image search, it brings up Google, and then I can type into the top what I'm looking for. So I'll just type in tree, for example, if I'm looking for a picture of a tree. And then the different trees come up. I can select my tree, and then I can press insert, and that will put my picture into my Jamboard. And again, when I tap on it, so long as my click is selected, I can move it about. If I click, I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller, I can tip it or change the angle of it. Underneath my picture in my toolbar, I have a shape, so I can insert different shapes. So again, handy for maths. You can pick the shape you want. So if you want a square, you can click on your square and then tap on the Jamboard anywhere to add your square. Again, you can change the size, you can change the colour, the angle. The duplicate's quite handy if you're looking for a few of them, so make sure you're tapped on it. And then you can duplicate, and then you can get as many squares as you need. And obviously to delete, it's just the 3 buttons and delete to get rid of that. Underneath the shapes, I've got my text icon. So this lets me type into my screen. So I tap onto my screen and I can type in. So I'll type in tree, so I've got my example of a tree. I can, with my text, change the colour. So if I look back at the top here, I've now got the text line. So I can change the colour, so I've got a choice of colours there. I can change the alignment of the text and put the text in the middle, and I can change whether I want it to be a title, subtitle, or big for the display. So if I click big, it will make it a bit bigger for me. The final tool you have on your toolbar is the laser. So this just lets you circle anything you want to draw the pupil's attention towards. So you can just do circles around it and draw their attention towards anything you particularly want to point out. To share your Jamboard with the students in your class, what you'll need to do is in the top right here is click on share. At the minute it's selected, so it's private only to me, so all Jamboards will automatically set up like that. If I go down to the bottom where it says get link, I can add people individually, or what I can do is at the bottom I can click change to anyone with the link. So if I click on that, I then have the option to copy the link. Underneath I have the option of viewer or editor. So if I want my class to be able to make changes and add their own things to the Jamboard, I need to click on editor so that they have the right to do this. Okay, and then I click copy link, and I can either email the link to the pupils, or I've been putting it in Teams chats when I've been doing it with my class, so that the link is shared with the pupils. When the pupils log in, they won't have to sign into Google. They will come up as an animal, so it will give them a creature, and they'll come up as anonymous. So you won't know which pupil is posting where, but it does mean that you can avoid the pupils having to sign in and get everyone access onto the platform. So finally, I'm just going to show you a few examples of how I've used Jamboard with my class. So we use this as one of our live sessions as kind of a starter. So it was focusing on the maths, and I asked the pupils if they could tell me what the question would be if the answer was 15. So I had the Jamboard set up with a question in the middle of it, and then I asked the pupils to add a post-it or to type on the screen what could the question have been if the answer was 15, and then these were the different answers they came up with. Another thing I did that lesson was we had a writing task. So I asked the pupils kind of to plan together. So together we planned our character. I taught them through it. I asked them to save sharing their post-it to the end. So number one was to decide if it was a boy, a girl, an animal or other. And then for the second thing, I wanted them to think about their character's age, a word to describe their personality, their favourite thing, what they were scared of, and then share this with the class. So I didn't have as many pupils at that session, but it was good for the planning phase. And then what we did next was, as a group, we worked out for the writing what could happen. So I asked them to kind of be creative, think outside the box, and they posted their ideas of what could happen. What I then did was take a screenshot of the Jamboard and I uploaded that to Teams, so they had the picture there to be able to refer to when they were completing their home learning task.
So again, just want to thank Heather Mcmanus there from Edenside Primary, who was sharing how she'd been using Jamboard for teaching and learning in her classrooms or with her pupils. I think it's a fantastic resource for allowing pupils to share their understanding and also getting them to think in a group discussion in a nice, sort of friendly environment that obviously really enhances the remote learning experience for pupils. Mr. Connell, or Alan Connell from Kelso High School, is going to share a different approach again, which is through Sway and how that can be used to deliver something entirely different from a pastoral perspective.
Hello there, it's Alan Connell here from Kelso High School. I just wanted to share a little bit of time with you about how we have used at Kelso High School Microsoft Sway as a really vital tool to use for our course choice information and process this year as a result of remote learning. It's proven to be quite popular so far and it's been well received, although we will be seeking feedback. What I wanted to do is just show you how simple it's been really for us to put together. It does look very impressive, but certainly for me it's something that I didn't really have a lot of experience in using. I had used a little bit before. If I'm honest, I wasn't particularly impressed with it in its first sort of incarceration, but after the schoolhouse session a few weeks ago, a couple of months ago maybe, I changed my mind and thought, you know, this is a really professional, really immersive, engaging way to interact with our young people, our parents and our wider community. As you can see there, it's not a secret, our senior phase course choice Sway has been viewed 638 times and our S3 one 483. Considering the role of Kelso High School is less than 600 in total, that shows a really high level of engagement. And you know, even at those numbers, if we were to discount staff having a look around and all our young people in various stages looking at that for a couple of times, that's still more in terms of numbers. So I'll show you our senior phase. I built it, I'll be quite honest with you, it was quite time consuming, but we viewed it as an investment. And what it has allowed is for every department to be able to have an input. It was felt that yes, I coordinated it, but it was very much a team effort around the school in order to make sure that the information we're putting out to parents, to the young people, is delivered directly by those specialists. In school before, we had a kind of roadshow, I suppose you could call it, where the groups of young people went round each department and the principal teachers spoke about their subject areas. What we decided to do is, obviously with that not being possible, what we did is we decided to make videos and with common content across each of the subject areas. As you can see there, we've got a welcome from our head teacher, pastoral, myself, Miss Roden, Mr Angus. We put together a video on pathways, on the dates, on the process, and also step-by-step guides to applying for Borders College Schools Academy. Then what we had here is just a wee bit of a rundown in terms of the I suppose, the rules for making your choices, and then just a wee bit of expectations. And the key thing I decided to use was the stacks feature on here. As you can see, when you touch it, it just stacks round, and I really like that. We then split it into faculties and subjects, and you'll see there that English and media, and we were really big on unified branding, uniform communication, skills pathways, and qualification pathways for each subject. You'll see here we have the QR codes, and what these do is it allows parents or young people to take a personal device, perhaps if they're viewing it on the Inspire iPad, and it will take them directly to the My World of Work website, showing them courses and careers and pathways, and the opportunities open to them if they choose to study this subject. And next to that, we have got the traditional sort of course choice booklet information for each course. It's very simple. If you're thinking, oh my god, I'd need a microscope to see that. Aha, you don't. Just open it up, and you can see there, you can have a wee look. For example, that's National 5 Media, that's Higher Media. The key thing about this is you'll see each subject has all of this information, and I'm really happy to share the links with you. It's been very well received. Key thing here is if someone's struggling with a little bit of their information overload, so to speak, just go to the contents page, and we have all the information about Borders College as well, which I thought was really useful, and you can hyperlink to the Borders College website as well, which I found really useful, just to make it easier for the young people to navigate the applications. Also, there's your traditional course choice sheet if you need it. And then what we'll do in a few days, because at the moment we wanted to specifically just encourage our school community to look at this, ingest it, take it in, ask questions, open conversations with parents as a form of family learning. And then in a couple of days' time, as I say, we're going to put out a Microsoft form which will allow them to upload their choices to us to start our quality assurance and then start coursing into the system and build the timetable. It's a really, as I say, it was a bit of a labour of love for me. I'm very proud of it, but it was also a labour of love for our staff. It was truly an investment in time, and hopefully in future years it means that only a few tweaks will be required, and depending on the feedback and the data tells us, but certainly we would view that this is something we'll be moving forward with. I've actually already had contact from schools in other local authorities just asking for some of the details, but perhaps they're not quite there yet as they don't have the one-on-one device access. If anybody's got any questions, I am happy. Just drop me an email. Take care. Thank you.
Hopefully you really found that an insightful way of using Sway in a school approach that Alan showed us just there. As you were saying, it's a course choice document that is being used across the whole of Kelso High School, and is something that they'll be using quite widely, and it's been quite popular. Dr. Guy Warner is going to share one final approach, and that is adding cartoon characters to your presentations to maybe slightly change how they appear to pupils.
Hi, I've been asked to speak to you today about how I've been adding cartoon characters into my videos like the one you can see here. And the way I've been doing this is by using the website called Voki. This allows you to create your own custom characters that are lip synced. Before I add the character in to the video or any other effects, I focus on creating the basic lesson and the video that will demonstrate that. This allows me to focus on the learning intentions and success criteria and make sure that there's good learning in the video. Only then will I add in any other effects. I normally create my videos using PowerPoint, just like I am at the moment with Record Slideshow, and I will finish off by exporting this to a video. That becomes the basis for the final video. Once I've got the video of my PowerPoint or whatever I made the lesson in, I've now got an audio track I can use for creating my character. When I'm using Voki, it's limited to 60 seconds at a time, so I have to cut my audio into chunks, and I will then upload each chunk in turn to Voki and follow the process I'm about to show you, and then just keep repeating that until I make maybe multiple videos of the character, and I'll merge those in at the end. Note also that the audio must be mono. The Voki website limits you to mono audio. If you're using a PC, you can use the free application Audacity to edit your video track for these purposes. I then went to the Voki website, which allows me to create the character. So in create mode, you can select the character you want, and I have chosen here the Scrooge character. I felt he looked a bit like a teacher from Victorian days, that's why. After I'd created the character, what I've done is I've worked out a colour that's not used in the picture of the character, and then I've created a drawing just of this colour and set that as the custom background. This creates the green screen effect, which I'm going to need when I edit the videos later. The final step in creating the character is when I upload my voice. This is under the voice menu, and there's just upload your audio as an option in there. As I said earlier, I had to cut this into 60-second chunks. I've also then tested that it's all working fine before proceeding. Once I've created the character and set the background, I'm able to save the character. Now, since I actually have a login on the site, I've not had to recreate the character each time. Most times I just upload a new audio and save, which makes it quite a quick process. Once the character is saved, the key thing I have to do is use the URL that's shared for the character, and that window will open up with a better view without the extra stuff around it, which is much more appropriate for converting into the final video. Using this URL, I'm able to now use screen recording software to convert the Voki into a video. This is just an easiest way of getting it ready for merging into the final video. I actually use OBS on the PC, but I think you can easily use your screen record on an iPad as well. Now that I've got all the components together, it's just a case of applying green screen, sometimes called chroma key effects, to the video. I also have to trim out the extra stuff from the browser window and move the character into position. I actually edit my videos with Serif Movie Plus, but that's no longer available to be purchased, so you could also use iMovie, or on the PC I believe there's a program called Shotcut, which seems to have good reviews. That's it, folks. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Again, thank you for that little input from Dr. Warner there on how to add the characters to your videos. A little bit technical, but it's still a very effective way of engaging pupils. Definitely different. I'd like to thank everyone who presented what they've been doing in their classrooms and with their pupils today, and I really appreciate your time that you gave us. I hope you found today's session useful and gave you a few insights that you might wish to take away and use within your own classroom or in your own classroom environment. If you have any of the questions related to the content of this video, if you go into our Schoolhouse channel, you will find the link that is posted related to the Kelso sharing practice documents, and you can add any questions you have for staff there, and we'll make sure that either the staff answer them directly, or if I will answer them, or someone will be able to answer them underneath. So thank you again for your patience, and I hope you enjoyed tonight's session, and we will see you later.